Notice we've got a bit of an oil leak here. Probably can't really tell, but it's leaking a bit of oil. I've cleaned up a bit, but these things are leaking a bit of oil on there. It's obvious. Bit of oil on there. So the plan today is to replace these seals. Trim motor. So that's your trim motor, and there's your little trim tilt rams. Yeah. So we need to replace the seals in there. So I've got some new ones, along with some pounds.
How much do they cost?
I don't know, too much. Anything Yamaha like this little seal here, ridiculous. $51.80. One. Oh, should be two of me somewhere. Oh, here it is. Yeah, two of those. $51.80 each. And we need one of these. The little marine tech tools from the US. I bought it from the US to fit on our trim cylinder in there, so that we can take off the cap. Otherwise you've got to butch the cap and replace it. So that special tool will help me get that cap off without having to damage it.
So if people were to do a search for that, what would they write in the search phrase?
Marine Tech Tools. Probably the best ones on the market. Yeah, you just go to the website and you pick your engine and your application, and you can buy a special tool to suit your engine. Oh, I've got to drop the engine onto something here. Normally you'd go use these, but I don't have enough room here. So I'm just going to drop it onto that to release the pressure off the cylinder. Like that. And from there, you crack the little thing here, and that should release the pressure from the cylinder. Like that. So now, that loosened off, we should be able to take that off without being any pressure in there. Trick is, when you put it on, make sure you put the tool flush. Okay. And crack it like that. That was an easy one. Usually they're a lot harder than that. Drain the oil. Cap comes off. Easy. Kind of. Cap. It's the first part of it. It's two seals in here you have to replace. There's the one, the dust cap they call it. Just get a screwdriver, take off the retaining clip, like that. Retaining clip off, and we'll pop the seal here out.
Without stabbing your thumb.
Probably a right tool for this, but there it is. Oop. So the seal comes off.
You don't need that one.
Well, I'll go and grab it so you can have a look. Right, seal. Alright, so that's the old one. Just make sure that's right the size. Looks pretty close. Dust cap. Spring goes to the inside. And just pop that in. You could use a socket on there just to push it in. Alright, so the socket goes in there. Push the seal until it's flush against there. And then a little retaining clip goes back in here. Be careful they don't flick off. And that clips in like that to hold the seal in. So that's that dust seal done. Next one we have to do is one on the edge here. Probably could use a seal pick for this, but screwdriver's fine. Take that one off. This one here is for the actual cap. It's got the bigger one. To get this other seal off, normally these are like really tight, and sometimes you gotta heat them up to get them off, so trust your heat gun, and we'll heat this up. Heat up around there. Give it a good old heating up. now, and we'll see if we can crack this. These things are like super mega tight. You can see how that sort of just fits into there. Like that. There we go. Cracked it. So without the heat, you probably wouldn't have cracked that. Probably a bit easier with a ratchet now. So you can see why you need this special tool that actually fits perfectly onto this cap.
So what I'm seeing here is it's got little divots in it that fit into little holes on your seals.
Yeah,
right?
they're little hardened little tabs.
Yes. Yeah.
When they supply these, they supply with some spares in case you break them. Without the right tool, you need to crack them, or you just have to damage the cap. And in Australia, the caps are pretty expensive. I think in the US they're cheap, but Australia the caps are still pretty expensive, so it's cheaper to buy a tool and then reuse the caps. Alright, so crack this one. Open. And we just repeat what we did with the last one. So first thing, retainer clip off. You're really careful with these retainer clips because they'll fling, and usually they'll fling somewhere where you can't find them. Alright, retainer clip off, and get the seal out. You see that milky stuff in there? It usually means there's a bit of water in the oil, which is one of the reasons why we're going to replace it. Yeah, just clean up all that crap inside there. It's all pretty good inside there. Nice and clean. Get our $51 seal. Ridiculous, $51 for that. $51. Right. Notice how the little thing on the inside goes to the inside like that. Let's get that socket. Presses into there. Press it enough so I can get the retaining clip back on. That retaining clip clips in. It's probably not a bad idea to replace those each time, but I didn't get any. So now, just replace this seal again like I did in the last one. Put that over the top there. Like that. Now we'll go back around the other side. You're going to get your phone. Alright, so I've got the new seals and the O-rings on that, and the retainer clips back in. Good to go. So next thing we have to do is take out this piston and replace the seal on this one. That same as it on the other side. One thing you got to check as well is check the shaft for any damage, pits that can damage the seal. This one is really good condition. Seal off. bit of oil on and seal back on like that.
Crazy.
Now this has got a fair bit of oil left in that cylinder, so then you have, normally if you emptied all the oil out of these cylinders, you'd have to fill those up before you put the rams in to make it easier to, or for the pistons back in to make it easier to bleed. Fair bit in there. So you feed this back in. When you screw this back in, you've got to be careful that the seal doesn't grab on the when the thread is. So just do it by hand a fair bit. Feel that seal down in. It's not binding, so that's good. That's it. $100 tool. But like without it, you can't do it. So if you take it in just to get someone to do this job, they'll charge you heaps, so you can do it yourself. Nip that up, doesn't have to be super tight, just nip it up. And that's it, do the same on the other side. First things first, the piston goes back in. With all its new seals on it. Oil on here. It's a pretty easy job. The hardest part is getting those caps off. That's the worst, the hardest part of it. A bit by hand. And even this tool I bought from the US was delivered from the States within a week. Come DHL. So really good company to do with, buy directly from the company.
It's unusual because a lot of American companies won't deliver to Australia, especially on stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it was Amazon, an Amazon store. But it was their direct link to their store. I saw a few like cheap copies, like Chinese copies floating around, but for an extra $30 I thought I'd buy the right one. Rather than support the Chinese. Alright, so that's on. Just give that a bit of a nip up. Doesn't have to be super tight.
Just so I understand here, this is what you're buying when you buy it. You don't get the stick.
Yeah, that's just my standard brake.
You have this in your toolbox already, hey?
Correct. Well, you don't end up buying that. Any 1/2 ratchet or breaker bar, you'll need a breaker bar to crack it. Fits onto that tool. Marine tools. Cool. And these little pins screw in. And you got replacements to whack new ones in if you need them. If you happen to break any.
Yeah.
If you break any. So that's it. The only thing you have to do now is bleed it. Under here is where the oil reservoir is. Under there.
So just above it, basically.
Yeah, there's a little filler thing there. Ideally, look, probably not doing this right, because ideally I need to be able to get full movement of the outboard. So I'll just bleed it to the best I can, and then when I take it out, I'll finish it off.
So what's this you're using? Just an oil pump.
Just a little pump.
They're cheap, aren't they, oil pump?
Yeah, I think that's $20 on them. They're very expensive. Alright, so I'll just pump some oil into that. That's what I take for now. Be careful you don't thread this too. Get that thread on right. I'll do it up finger tight and just nip it up with that. So now we have to remember to get our fucking screwdriver and crack this open again. the bleed, not the bleed screw, it's the releases the pressure out of the trim and tilts. And then we bleed it. So when we get it out there, I'll make sure it's got full range of motion, and other than that we should be right. See it's binding there? Noise, it means that it's caught well, good to go. Good to go. Okay, thanks for watching our video on how to replace the seals on your trim and tilt cylinders. Any questions, just pop them down below, and we'll catch you next time. See you later.